Hi, everybody. Today is October the 21st, 2021. You're watching a Yakima Herald-Republic Editorial Board meeting with one of the two candidates for position one on the Yakima School Board. Graciela Villanueva, seeking re-election to the seat she's held since 2011. She's currently the board's vice president. She's a lifelong resident of the Yakima Valley, and she's worked for 20 years in human resources, including the past 13 for Yakima Valley Farm Workers Clinic. She holds a master's degree in business administration and has volunteered extensively for various causes around the valley. Her opponent, Kenton Gartrell, has declined to participate in this interview. I'm John Taylor, the Yakima Herald-Republic's opinion page editor, and we'll have with us city editor Joanna Markell and our education reporter, Vanessa Ontiveros. So, Ms. Villanueva, welcome. What did we overlook about you?
I think that was a good summary. I'll just share a little bit more detail. I've been a resident of Yakima since I turned 18. I grew up in Toppenish and moved to the big city when I was 18 and have been here since. I am married. I have a son who is 22. He graduated from Yakima schools, Eisenhower High School a couple of years ago. And when I initially applied to be appointed to the board in 2011. My son was in elementary school or middle school and wanted to ensure that he had a quality education, and really have enjoyed my time on the board and have continued to serve to ensure that all kids in Yakima have the opportunity at a quality education. So it's work that I've really enjoyed and hope to continue that work.
All right. Well, today we'll ask you a few basic questions that get at some of the core issues facing School District 7. We'll give you roughly 5 minutes to answer each question. So here we go. First question is, the pandemic has obviously been a nightmare for students, teachers, and parents. Assuming we get things back to somewhere near normal the next year, where does the district go from here? Will the district strategic plan make sure Yakima kids aren't left behind?
I think that's a really good question. I think there are two phases that come to mind in terms of where the district needs to go. One is there will be some time, a period of time, but the district really will need to focus on the needs of the mental health needs in particular of kids. This last 18 months has been traumatic, and that's something that we heard loud and clear at the student forum that was held on Tuesday. We had about 30 or so high school kids who asked school board member candidates questions, and the thing that really came through to me is that they are doing as well as they can, but they need some support. And so ensuring that the district is able to provide those supports, be it additional mental health services, additional mental health counselors. The other part of the support to kids is academic support. Although the district, I think, did an excellent job in ensuring that all of our students had a laptop, had access to free Wi-Fi, converted curriculum to an online platform, I think kids still didn't learn as much as they would have if they were in the classroom. And so in addition to the mental health supports, ensuring that we provide adequate supports and catch-up time, whatever that looks like, tutoring, summer school, so that all of those kids who maybe didn't learn as much and didn't make as much progress as we hoped they would have made to be able to make that progress. So phase one, I think, is providing additional supports to kids, mental health and academic supports. The second phase would be looking at our strategic plan and the commitments that the district made to the community, and ensuring that we have the system and structure and framework in place to pick that work back up where it left off. It was a new strategic plan, and so we had just started making some progress, and then COVID happened, and so we need to get that back on track. It's a really great, strong strategic plan. We had a lot of really great input from the community in developing that plan, and so I think we need to realign with that and do what we can to get back on track. I think that's going to really involve ramping up the academic outcome expectations and the supports that are needed to ensure that our kids are reading at grade level, that our kids are getting the opportunity to be in a two-way bilingual education program. I think there's a lot of commitments that we made to the community that are really strong that we want to keep, and it'll be just a matter of ensuring that we have the infrastructure and framework in place to get us to that place.
All right, very good. Our next question would be, what are the district's most pressing capital needs, and how would you address them during your term?
That's a great question. There is a long list of delayed capital projects, particularly around maintenance of our school facilities, things that we have tried to budget for over the years, and then something happens and we have to push that off. We have some buildings who, while we may have made some upgrades in HVAC systems and things like that, the buildings themselves haven't been upgraded in decades. And so there are a number of capital projects that are coming up that need to be addressed. That's going to be challenging in the years to come. We have we'll be going through a process of evaluating each of our school buildings to determine what the exact needs are and begin to intentionally plan and schedule that work. I think we likely will need to look at a levy or a replacement levy to help with those projects. With the cost of labor increasing, the contractors that we would need to use to do the work, particularly with COVID, costs have been driven up pretty significantly. Materials are going up. My brother's a contractor, talks about the cost of wood all the time. And so when you look at a commercial project, that's just so much more expensive. And so, we'll have to keep in mind those increasing costs as we begin to assess the work that we need to do and begin to plan that out. I am a little concerned about the delays that we've had to have in the planned work, but within the larger picture of all of the things, some of the budget challenges we've had over the years, although we've been in a good place for the last couple of years, it'll take some really intentional planning to ensure that we are able to ensure that our schools are functional and operational and comfortable and safe for our kids. And that, I think, really would be the focus of this work of doing the analysis. We want to make sure the buildings are safe for our students.
Okay. Last question from me anyway. Given all these things we've talked about already, if you're elected, what would be your first priority?
My first priority, I'll go back to some of the responses in the first question. We really need to make sure that our kids are going to have the mental health supports and the academic supports they need to get back on track. If you read news articles, everyone is really struggling with mental health right now. It's been so hard to be isolated. Things are changing a little bit, but it really has had an impact on the mental health of the entire population. And so, certainly students are no exception to that. And so ensuring that we have the mental health resources and personnel in time and other resources that we're able to provide. And then the academic supports. We want to make sure that our kids are able to graduate on time. I spoke with a young woman a few days ago who is 4 credits short of graduation. The reason she's 4 credits short is because she had to work to support her family. And so she wasn't goofing off. She didn't fail a class. She just couldn't go to school sometimes because she had to work. And so we need to find solutions to help our kids not be penalized because their families, need their financial support. And so ensuring that the academic supports are in place to allow all kids who struggled through COVID, but maybe who have other socioeconomic challenges that are preventing them from being as successful as I know they can be in school. And so providing those systems and frameworks to allow all the kids to be successful and graduate on time.
Okay. So Vanessa, do you have anything you'd like to ask or add?
I do. I have one question, and it's in two parts. In your approximately decade on the board, what would you say is the most valuable thing that you have learned? And if voters choose you, is there any way you would change your approach to the work that is expected of board members?
Can you ask that question again, please?
Yes. In your decade on the board, what is the most valuable thing you have learned? And if voters choose you, is there anything that you would change about your approach to the work that board members are expected to do?
The most valuable thing I've learned, I'm just taking some notes here. That's a really great question. I've learned so much in my time on the board, everything from how schools are funded to student growth percentiles and what that means, how graduation rates have changed. That's a great question. I'd say one of the most, wow, that's a really good question. One of the most valuable things I've learned is understanding the challenges that our students face every day. When we think about school, we think about, kids show up, they do their work, they take tests, they study, they do homework, and we expect kids to do well, to pass their classes, do their homework, all of those things. But when kids have challenges and are struggling, there's a reason for that. And the awareness that I've learned in my time on the board about the struggles that our students have, struggles with home life, homelessness, absent parents, being hungry, maybe some kind of trauma that they've experienced or an adverse childhood experience. They go through those things every day, but we expect them to show up to school on time and they have to pass the test and they should have their homework. And so the awareness that I've learned, the challenges that I've learned about that our students go through, I think is such an interesting lens, an important lens to keep in mind and remember. It's not enough to just give a student a book and teach them out of the book. If they're hungry or if they're homeless, adults wouldn't do well in that kind of an environment. And here are children whose brain isn't fully developed yet, and we're expecting them to perform and to pass and to behave and to not, fidget in their seat. So the awareness of those challenges, I think, has been so important for me and vital in understanding why some kids have challenges and the importance of the support networks that need to be in place to ensure our kids can be successful. The second part of your question is there anything that I would change in my approach to the board work? I think the answer is yes, and that is linked to the work we've done, some work we've done already on the board, and that is creating systems to hear student voice or to take student voice into consideration. Our students are incredibly smart, they're incredibly passionate, and as adults, I don't think we're always mindful or intentional about asking kids, what is it that they want? What are the things that are important to them? And so one thing that I want to be really thoughtful about moving forward is hearing what our students and what our young people have to say and what their thoughts are on the things that adults have a lot of opinions about. And we're adults, we should be making those decisions, but it's really important to hear the students that are going to be impacted, their thoughts and ideas around how to implement school in the best way that's going to result in them learning the best they can.
All right. Does that do it for you, Vanessa?
Yes, and thank you for your responses.
Anyone else have anything further to ask Ms. Villanueva?
I'm good. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks a lot.
Anything else you would like to say in closing, Ms. Villanueva, or are we good?
I'll just wrap up by thanking the three of you for your time and for the invitation to be interviewed by the Yakima Herald Editorial Board. And I will share that I really have enjoyed the work on the school board over these last 10 years. And I'm excited to hopefully continue the work on the board. We have a great strategic plan. We have a wonderful new equity statement that our students helped write. And I'm just so excited about the work that the school district has coming up, and I sincerely hope that I'm a part of it.
Okay. Well, again, this has been the Yakima Herald-Republic's editorial board meeting featuring Graciela Villanueva, who is seeking re-election to position 1 on the Yakima School Board. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.